I'm very good indeed. And yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, mate. It's really takes me back to my childhood, the Damned. They were one of I think two bands. We always used to go and raid my best mate's brother's older brother's record collection. There's only two bands that he liked outside of the hard rock and heavy metal. One of them was the Damned. He had all your albums, and the other one was the Stranglers.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad
Well,
time.
I apologise.
It was good. It was fantastic to hear that you were coming back as well last year. Again,
Well,
final round.
yeah. Yeah, you could put it like that. It's, you know, things went pear-shaped for a while.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
it.
Almost, well, just over 25 years over pear-shaped, I guess.
Yeah,
And, it was, we did the reunion shows with Brian James about
yeah,
18 months ago. And we all had a great time doing it. Everybody enjoyed it. Everybody played great. We were all really kind of, you know, chuffed with the way it sounded. It was good, and we all spoke about it afterwards, and everybody agreed that we'd enjoyed doing it, and if the opportunity came up, then we should do it again.
mm.
Opportunity came up, so here
So
we are.
here you are coming over, but not with Brian though this time. He's
Yeah, Brian. You know, he. It's not really down to me, but his health wasn't that great.
yeah,
He just when we did those shows, he just not long been out of surgery, and so he's kind of a bit stalled on going out and touring and
yeah.
schlepping around the globe. He's not that not
It's a
that.
bit warm down here for you as well. Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
one of the things I always loved about Damned is you were a band of contradictions, I guess, is how I see it. There was
mm,
the first punk band, the first punk single, the first punk album, first English punk band to tour the States, and yet you were out on T-Rex's final tour, and you had a second album produced by a member of Pink Floyd.
it
Surely
makes
that's not allowed.
yeah. No, it's not at all. But we well, where do you start with that? I mean, the thing was that the Damned's musical background, the four originals, Brian James was really into jazz and avant-garde jazz, which you'd never really sort of think. But that and the Stooges and the MC5 and Sonny Coltrane, that was his record collection, of stuff like that. Captain was quite a big prog rock fan.
Yeah.
Dave was into the kind of, well, lots of what I call fairground music. When you go on the Wurlitzer and they play Johnny Remember Me,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
and
all the big ballads from the 50s and 60s, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, and that kind of thing, and that was Dave's. I mean, that wasn't only Dave's thing.
yeah,
I put the time as being that guy that's only listens to that, but that was kind of where he was coming from, and I was very much into pop,
mm.
like the Sweet and T-Rex and
All great.
commercials. Well, I love commercial 7-inch singles. They were
Yeah,
a great thing. The songs were great. They were just the right length. They weren't too tedious, and they were a thing to be admired. And so that was kind of where I was coming from. But we all sort of got the quality in somebody like Mark Bolan and T-Rex.
mm.
He was good, but ridiculed by the alleged serious musicians. But it was much easier to play, get it on than it was 21st century schizoid man.
A bit King Crimson. Yeah, I
Eh, you know,
imagine. Yeah,
which was kind of what you had to be in 76, 77 to even to be able to play in a pub, you had to be overqualified. And, that was part of the reason why punk happened. But so when it came to working with Mark Bolan, that seemed, you know, like a great opportunity. We'd just been fired off the Sex Pistols tour.
yeah.
And it was just, I mean, it was the perfect fuck you to Malcolm and that whole thing. It was like, oh, the Sex Pistols don't want us, but here's Mark Bolan. He doesn't want.
And
and
just making a comeback as well, I guess. I mean, there's so many things I want to ask you. I wish we had a few days to talk. I mean, we could talk about anything from, I guess, Les Punks, which you did with Lemmy. That was a great thing about music back in those days. You could all like we were all in it together. It
yeah.
was loud, it was live, it was great. And there seemed to be a big scene going around. Is that just a perception from an outsider, or was it
I,
all a bit more friendly than?
I think the scene's perceived as being much bigger than it was,
Yeah.
and there was a sort of glue with the MC5 of all things. Certainly, as far as I knew, it was they were really obscure at the time, and not many people knew about them. But Lemmy did, and Lemmy used to drink in this pub in Portobello Road, where what I became the punk elite. We'd all go there on a Saturday afternoon. So you go in the pub, Lemmy would be over in the corner. There'd be me, Brian James, Mick Jones, Tony James, Steve Jones, Paul, Glenn Matlock,
Mm.
uh, and that's where that small group of people would converge. Not all of them became members of a band, but there were quite a lot of people that had very similar ideas and that sort of a sense of change,
Yeah.
necessary change, and that we didn't, you know, really want to adhere to the normal kind of what was then, the music industry's boundaries, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you showed that on the albums as well. I always remember a sort of very long track on the Black album. And I finally listened to that one and I thought,
Yeah.
is this punk? Yeah,
Well, that was the point, though. Was you see, punk
yeah,
had gone up its own arse by then,
yeah.
and it become a very formulated thing. It became, if you want to be a punk band, this is what you do. This is how you look. This is how you sound.
Mm.
And we still had the energy and the aggression for a lot of it, but at the same time, we wanted to evolve a bit, and we wanted to do something that you could hold up, I suppose, and say, look, we're not just a three chord punk band here. We can do other things that are different. And it was a gamble, because we really didn't know if the audience were going to go with us. But I think we were very lucky because I think our audience had grown in the same direction at the same time.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think we did again in 1985 when you sort of like changed again and sort of did Phantasmagoria. And I think new people probably came on board at that point as well. It was
well, yeah. I mean, the lineup of the Damned has been checkered, to say the least. And but it always led to a kind of new direction and a new attitude. Like with Paul Gray, we it was already coming, but there was a sort of more of a leaning towards psychedelia
Yeah.
and discovering great guitar sounds and ridiculous recordings. There was a lot going on that was very inspirational, and that with Paul's in because that's kind of he's really big on all of that pedals and nuggets thing, and so that in the background it sort of joined in with what the rest of us were into, and it helped. We knew we weren't any of those other bands, but we were kind of genuinely influenced by what they did and how they did it.
So what kicked it all off for you? What made you pick up the drumsticks in the first place? What was it? I mean, you've talked about the type of music that you loved. Was it that? Was it seeing T-Rex on Top of the Pops or
No,
something earlier?
yeah, yeah, no, I was about 8 years old,
Oh wow.
and used to be every Sunday afternoon there was a jazz radio program that had come on, and the great thing about jazz is every song has a drum solo,
Yes.
and I just heard the drums, and it was an immediate,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that's me. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be, or going to die trying.
Yeah.
And so I just nagged and got given a toy drum kit, and I broke that. And then eventually I got a real one, and I started playing, and playing along with records and blah blah. Do the usual route, and I expected to end up as like a pit player or on a cruise ship or something like that. I didn't.
There's still
I
time.
It was never an idea to be in a band. I didn't think that was a possible thing. I just thought,
Yeah.
you're one of many. You're doing this, and if you get lucky, you'll maybe do it. And I just kept on chasing things, and then eventually, I was playing drums in a pantomime,
Yeah.
Puss in Boots. And there was an advert in the paper. I wouldn't do auditions because I felt so dejected by them and demoralised, because you go in and there's 50 other drummers and you're not the best one there, and so there was this one advert that kept repeating in the Melody Maker for a drummer one. It must be blah blah blah, and I thought, well, it's interesting, and they haven't found anybody, so they're obviously looking for somebody who's not the same as everything else. So I eventually rang it up, and that's how I hooked up with Brian, and the rest is history.
Yeah, wow. And what a wonderful career it's been. I mean, there's so much in the story and so many ups and downs, so many breakups and reformations. It's like the perfect movie. I'd rather see a movie of The Damned than I would of the Sex Pistols. When's that one coming out?
Well, I have tried.
Yeah.
There was Don't You Wish That We Were Dead, which
That was great. I love that. Yeah.
It was okay, but the funny thing is, you think when they say, "Oh, we're going to document the Damned and the career," you think at last the truth is coming out, And actually, the thing that you forget is that it's not your film,
Mm.
and the guy making the film, bless him, but the guy making the film has to sell it to the distributors. He has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that may not necessarily be the right order.
So we'll watch this space. We've got a radio show as well, right? So we'd love to ask you these questions. We asked two for the radio, that exactly the same as we've asked everyone that we've ever spoken to before. The first one's going to be interesting for me to hear your answer based on what you've told me so far. If you could have been a fly on the wall for the creation of any great album, any point in the history of music, what do you love to have seen being made? Not necessarily the best album, but the one that maybe intrigues you the most.
I think it'd be a toss-up between Electric Ladyland and Brian Eno, Here Come the Warm Jets.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I
It's
think
one I've not listened to for quite some time. I like a bit of Brian Eno, but yeah.
Well, I've only got that one album of his,
Yeah.
because but I tend to be like that anyway, because I think that there's usually one record that absolutely is everything that artist does and does well. I think usually there's that, and for me that album is that, and I'm still, even today, I listen to it and hearing things that I'd never noticed before.
Yeah, that's always the best, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you come back to something. Well, following on from that, then what's the album for The Damned?
What, that I could have been a fly on the wall for?
No, I imagine you were there for most of it. But what's the one that defines the band? A loaded question.
Yeah, it is. It's so difficult because there's been kind of like 4 stages to the band's career. Punk rock, indie rock, pop, and now.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one because Damn Damn Damned for the punk thing over Music for Pleasure, even though Music for Pleasure's fine, but Damn Damn Damned is the one really. And then I guess I'd have to. The one I enjoy listening to most at the moment, let me put it that way, is Strawberries.
Yeah, I love that.
There's just something about that record that we got it right somewhere.
I think that was probably the first one I picked up just because of the cover and the fact that
Yeah, pig
well,
on.
the image is a great one, isn't it? When you look at that. So, but damn, you're right. I mean, so many people talk to me about that record and how it changed things for them, especially in the States. I think it was a hugely influential album, especially on the West Coast, where a lot of punk bands were trying to find their sound. And I think a lot of them found it, at least partly in that
Well,
record.
I don't think they were punk bands. I think, the whole thing I got from the American scene the first time I went out there was that most of them were very fluffy with leather trousers and were kind of mostly obnoxious. I didn't think there was much punk in it. The Ramones, on the other hand,
Mm.
when they emerged, that was a different ball game. But the, I was talking earlier to somebody about um, the Saints.
Yeah, the
Uh,
classic
how,
Aussie band, probably the best.
well, for me, yeah,
Yeah,
because he was such a great songwriter. But the interesting thing I thought about it was the fact that they arrived at the same time that we did,
yeah,
and I could understand it happening in London because we all knew each other. It wasn't, we all hang out and drink beer, and it wasn't, that thing. So I always presumed it was only something that we understood.
yeah,
Dossing around in Ladbroke Grove, and actually, when the Saints appeared, that was like, oh, there's a bigger force behind this than just being on the dole and bored in London. This is something that people are feeling everywhere. They have this energy that they want to dispel on the rest of the world. It was so vital,
yeah.
and it was for me. It turned it almost into something supernatural. It was kind of, boy, this is going on now in places that are remote. Because I always imagined Chris Bailey lived in the middle of the desert in a tin hut on his own with a guitar.
Yeah.
With my mental image, just sitting there going, I fucking hate the world.
Well, the most amazing thing about the Saints for me is when I finally got to see them, they supported Whitesnake. Can you believe that?
Yeah. But then we all had to do some turkeys, even the Damned. It was,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
trying to remember that.
it's going to be a great tour. I mean, there's so much. I can't imagine how you could even imagine about picking a set list for a show like that. It must be. Hopefully, the
It's,
pressure's off you, is it? You don't have to. You don't have to make that decision.
well, no, we have, I mean, we've been in rehearsals for a few days now, and that was the thing of what do you play? And because the Damned is, my initial thing was I'm only doing songs off the Black Album and Strawberries because that's what, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well, hopefully, you stuck with that because I'd love that.
well, to a degree we have, but also it's the Dam's a bigger entity than that. It's been around too long,
Yeah.
and it's still going. So there's a kind of thing of the, yeah, we'll focus on those because we did all of the first Damn with Brian, 18 months ago. We've kind of done that, and so it just seems nice to focus on that. But at the same time, we have. I don't want to say which songs because we still may not do them because we haven't decided. But we've tried a few out that hopefully people are surprised by and people want to hear us seeing it as
Well,
part of the Damned
are,
heritage. If you
are,
like.
are you going to throw anything in off Darkadelic? I love that.
Um, mm, at the moment, yeah.
Oh, cool. I should be watching when I'm there, making sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be over at the Perth show. I can't wait. I can't imagine over the years I only ever got to see it once, and that was deep in the depths of the mid '80s. So I think I saw a very different band then, but I can't wait for this one. We do have a question that we ask everyone for the radio as well before we'll get you to introduce a song, and it's a pretty easy one. I'm sure you'll just snap off and answer this one. What is the meaning of life?
Douglas Adams.
Yes, there's a popular answer to that one. I think.
Do you know what? The world's such a mess. The universe is such a mess that 42 really is. It's the only thing that makes any kind of coherent sense.
It does. Why not? It's we got heaps of questions. I'm completely overwhelmed. This is how much love there is in West Australia for you guys. I think I've had more questions sent into me when I said I was speaking to you than anyone else ever. So it's incredible. One of the ones I've got, I'll just got to read one of the last ones. What's it say? I can't. I'm trying to find it. What they sent in. It was about being covered by other bands, and it was something along the lines of, "What did you enjoy more?" And I remember one of the bands was Guns N' Roses. So the other one must have been presumably The Offspring.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I will say about that when Offspring did smash it up, it was quite depressing because I earned more from them doing it than I'd ever earned in my whole career of playing it.
Oh, no.
And so it was this dreadful irony, of like, oh, for fuck's sake, what's the point? Why bother? I made the record, one lucky break, someone covers it, and you can earn a fortune. Why am I going up there getting blisters?
Yeah. Well, let's hope you got a few more pairs of gloves on then for when you come over here. And we can't wait. So I think you're going to find this tour might sell out. I reckon. I think it's getting close. So it's going to be packed houses everywhere.
Yeah, it's making a mental picture of what it's going to be like is very difficult.
Yeah, I imagine
So,
it is. It's going to be very warm as well. It's like we're still in by the time you get to Perth, we're still in the high 30s.
Wow.
So it's crazy, crazy weather. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's been absolutely wonderful. And have a safe trip until you come over, and we'll see you in Perth.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Take care, mate.
Right, take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.